Italy, a nation trapped in long-term stagnation. 1. Not collapsing, but suffocating. Some nations collapse with a single explosion, and some nations never explode. Yet every year, they tighten their collar a little more just to keep breathing. If Japan is a nation standing still in discipline, then Italy is a nation standing still in exhaustion. Italy has not defaulted. Italy is not in chaos. Italy has not lost sovereignty. Italy is not at war. Italy is still beautiful, still poetic, still full of tourists. But for more than 2 decades, Italy's growth has been like a car, engine running, but not moving. And this is the most frightening truth. A debt spiral does not need to make you collapse. It only needs to make you unable to grow. 2. Italy once stood for prosperity. Remember, Italy was the cradle of ancient Rome, the Florentine Renaissance, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Galileo, civilizations that were bold, creative, and intensely alive. After World War II, Italy industrialized rapidly. Wealth surged, manufacturing expanded, banks were strong, society was open. But then, the dream slowed, not because of failure, but because the system itself resisted change. A country so beautiful that everyone wanted it to remain the same. And when a nation refuses to change, it begins to age. 3. The numbers tell the truth. Debt is no longer theory. Look directly at reality. Italy's public debt has exceeded 137% of GDP, more than 3 trillion euros in accumulated debt. At this level, Italy is not short of money like an individual. Italy has entered a cold systemic rule. When debt becomes too large, the budget no longer opens roads forward. It is used to hold the ceiling from collapsing. And every time interest rates rise, that ceiling trembles. Debt servicing costs slowly consume the budget. It sounds technical, but what does it mean in real life? It means an ever-growing share of national resources is spent feeding the past. 4. The 3 locks holding Italy in place. First, rapid population aging. What do young people see? Wages that don't rise enough, homes that are too expensive, precarious work, and effort no longer guarantees mobility. The natural result is fewer children, or children much later, an older population, higher welfare costs, a rigid budget. Second, fragmented politics. Governments change constantly, coalitions shift endlessly, and reforms never survive long enough to deliver results. Third, the core issue. Italy uses the euro, which means no independent money creation, no currency devaluation, no monetary policy tailored to its own economic structure. Italy wears a suit, one size fits all, but its economic body does not fit, and that suit has no zipper. 5. A stable debt spiral. With no exit, Italy's debt spiral operates quietly. Weak growth, year after year. High debt forces the country to appear well-behaved to financial markets. To maintain stability, the budget must be tightened. But prolonged tightening makes growth even harder. And without growth, debt becomes impossible to reduce. A spiral that does not explode, yet does not release. Italy no longer invests in the future. It spends only to avoid collapse. That is the full definition of a stable debt spiral. 6. What dies first? The will to reform. And here is a consequence few talk about. When a nation lives too long inside a stable debt spiral, the first thing to die is not money. It is the will to reform. Because deep reform always brings short-term pain, and in a country that has not collapsed, not descended into chaos, not fallen into hunger, no government wants to be the one that delivers that pain. A stable debt spiral does not create crisis. It creates postponement. And prolonged postponement kills every serious attempt at change. Italy does not lack intelligence. It lacks a moment that forces transformation. 7. A comfortable paradise. The most dangerous trap. When you visit Italy, you see excellent coffee, beautiful architecture, a slow rhythm of life, artistic people. But speak with the young, and you hear no sufficiently good jobs, home ownership out of reach, no confidence to start families, no belief that effort will be rewarded, because they see no upward path. Italy's debt spiral does not create hell. It creates a comfortable paradise, not too poor, not too hungry, not too dangerous, but never scarce enough to force real risk. This is the most dangerous trap of an aging civilization. Complacency, wrapped in beauty. 8. Comparison with Japan. 2 ways of aging. Japan stands still with collective trust. Italy stands still with worn-down belief. Japan chooses stability. Italy chooses endurance. Japan still holds monetary control. Italy is pulled by external structures. 2 aging nations, but aging in profoundly different ways. 9. Conclusion. A question beyond Italy. Japan shows us a nation that can stand still in calm. Italy shows us a nation that can stand still in fatigue. And the question for all of us is, when the future is no longer guaranteed by the state, who builds that future? The answer is always the living generation, us. If debt spiral no longer feels theoretical, follow this series, because in the next video, we will examine when a nation does not collapse, but begins reclaiming its citizens' dreams through taxes, through inflation, and through political promises. And once you understand the mechanism, you will no longer be led by emotion alone.